You've stumbled into a podcast. It's been one of the podcasts with yours truly, Johnny Spoiler. I usually only spoil the movies that I love.
Mhm.
And I'm joined as always by the Savage Scream Queen herself,
That's
Jordan
me.
Savage. I like to start the show with a joke, folks, but I can't read my notes. I don't even understand what this means. Here's my notes for the show tonight. Apparently, holidays, a food movie, depression after Turkey Day, National Food Day, and introduce Jordan. In a case of can't read my own notes because I'm hopped up on cough syrup, I generally have a cold. There's a reason. Anyway, I get sick once or twice a year, folks, and it's just perfectly timed with the holidays. I'm going to make sure I spread that megavirus around all my relatives and the cousins I don't like. Let's wipe them out off the face of the earth.
You
The
heard
third
it.
cousins who show up at the holidays. Well, now you're going to wish you never came, Steve.
It's a good way to
Billy.
just not have future holidays. Yeah, for future dates. So, but I do not miss that Dayquil, NyQuil fog. It's just like this Twilight Zone. You're just constantly in until it goes away. It's so weird.
Oh yeah, time doesn't matter anymore. There's no sense of being or place or time or motivation. I was like, all weekend I'm just like, do I have anything to accomplish? Do we have to do something on Monday night? Like, do I even exist? You know what I mean? Like a single cell amoeba just like de-evolving, as I get more progressively sick. However, I will say like,
you would have thought I was the one hopped up since I forgot to watch a movie up until 2 hours ago.
Oh yeah, but it's really funny. Like, last year Jordan got her holiday sickness in, and I think we were actually promoting a doctor's app at the time. So I'm like, it's not an ad, folks. She's really ill.
I actually am sick. Yeah.
Yeah. But like I'm okay with that because I'll get 1 or 2 megaviruses a year, and then it's like germs just bounce off me like bullets for the rest of the year. Not that I want you to come at me like Dwight Schrute when he's on that episode. Have you seen the episode where he tells him to sneeze on the toast? Right? Because he wants to spray. He says germs are good and you got to be in germs. But I was gonna bring up Seinfeld real quick too because I think like there's an episode where I think he's asleep and he tries to write down the punchline to a joke he saw in a dream, and then it makes no sense. You know what I mean? In the morning afterwards,
right?
Which is kind of like what my show notes look like. I'm like, what did I mean? Was I trying to say like the holidays are depressing and like
you gotta
get off the ledge? You know what I mean?
You gotta get yourself back into that state of mind so you could finish.
Yeah. What was sick, John? Johnny sickness. What Johnny illness? What are we trying to tell me? I have no idea.
Stuff. Good stuff.
But I did put together. Here's talk about prediction and manifesting your fate. I wrote the word sick in the notes, but I was talking sick like cool. I had written down here's the sick T-Day playlist, and a different sickness came down the chimney. Okay. But I think Son-in-Law, people are going to be grabbing that Son-in-Law movie with Pauly Shore, right? Where he plays the son-in-law. I mean, the title hits it right on the nose. It's a Thanksgiving classic since the 90s. I think people will be in for that one. Another suggestion I can make, watch Daddy's Home Part 2. So you can see the daddy's dads and all the daddy activities.
The daddy's daddies, yeah.
Yeah, the daddies of the daddies. And then if you want like a twofer, Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg, if you want a twofer, watch The Other Guys where they play like bumbling cops and Michael Keaton is
I love that one.
Their captain who keeps quoting like TLC songs, right? Yeah, he's like singing Waterfalls and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
My favorite line is "Thanks for the F Shack, Dirty Mike and the boys." When they steal the
yeah. So in The Other Guys, folks, like they steal the cop's car and they write notes to him when they find the car, and that's what he's used for, like some kind of like orgy, homeless orgy.
I have one classic Thanksgiving flick, and I don't even think Thanksgiving's incorporated it, but it's essentially like the full calendar year.
Seasonal, yeah. You're gonna watch it of the season.
Yeah, it's just seasons. But Meet Me in St. Louis, I love Judy Garland, and so it's always a movie that I'll watch this
time of year. Is that one of her famous musicals?
Of course. Well, you have her singing one of the her more classic Christmas songs, and it's just absolutely beautiful. But there are fun Halloween scenes, and then it goes into Christmas and the full year really.
So they hit all the seasons. That's cool.
They do hit all the seasons.
That's pretty
super great. Yeah.
Is it black and white or color? Or they do one of those things where it was black and white, then they did Panavision, and they it came back out in color.
It's possible. I don't know. I feel like I've only seen it in black and white though, so. I don't know. No, I don't know.
Here's the trippy thing. I'm trying to sit here. I'm trying to figure out if you've brought this up during the holidays before, if you've mentioned this movie. And also, you got one up on me because I don't know. I'm not familiar with this movie, and
Oh,
obviously, I love her
so good.
because Wizard of Oz is like
Your
my
jam. It's
favorite
your
movie
favorite
of all
movie.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
really, really good one.
how about the Santa Claus? Like
Oh
the
my god.
original movie, not the series, not the
The
sequels. Just
first.
like go to the old school, the Santa Claus.
We just had this argument at work because we
Oh
had to
no.
argue our favorite Christmas movie,
Yeah.
and he's like, "All the Santa Claus are together," and I'm like, "No, you just like I can't argue that then because I don't want 2 and 3 to be involved in one." But the
Right.
first Santa Claus is just the best. It's the most believable Christmas movie there is out there. One of
Yeah, it's
them, at least in
pretty
my
great.
opinion.
And like if somebody accidentally kills Santa, you have to take his place, and there's like a
Yeah,
whole rigmarole. And then Tim Allen's character is like, I don't want to fall off a roof. How do we like Santa
prevent that.
proof
Yeah.
this? Yeah.
Mm,
And it's kind of good because it's like again, it's like one of those things like, oh, you slip into adulthood, give up on your dreams, and I mean, at the end of the day, we're not these really cynical, monstrous creatures. Like we are these balls of jelly with emotions. You know
mhm.
what I mean. So
True.
I think it gets the most hardcore dude. You know what I mean.
Mm.
Whether they admit that, go cry in the tool shed. You know what I mean. Hide your emotions. But you know what I'm saying? Like each
Yeah,
one of us, like somewhere, wherever our jelly lives, like
yeah.
you know,
That
like
jelly
at
layer.
our core,
Yeah.
yeah. Crack us open, it's like a molten core of jelly.
Mm,
Yeah, Santa Claus rocks. Anyway,
I love it.
I know a ton of people. I know every generation gets introduced to this movie with Steve Martin and John Candy, planes, trains, and automobiles. Two guys trying to get home for the holidays.
I
And
haven't seen it.
there's like a major heartbreaking twist in the movie. I'm not going to say exactly what it was, but clearly, if I'm ready to spoil it, that means I love it. But I've seen that movie like we're going like 19 times.
Mhm.
So I can't. It's starting to the effect is starting to wear off, right? But I watch it a lot for like the John Candy scenes. I mean, Steve Martin's with us, thankfully. John Candy passed away. But if you go and like some of his acting in his comedies is dramatic. And so if you go and look at it, there's these little moments, right? And that movie has a couple of gems, if you want to pay attention to acting
Mm.
and you're looking at his stuff. And you're like, I've seen Uncle Buck. What else is there? And then, last year I think we did probably like the ultimate holiday episode. We watched a movie with Nobody's Fool. Remember where it was like during the holidays and the dad's trying to regain control of his torn down home. Remember
Is
he's
this
like,
with Newman? I can't
yeah, the
remember.
Paul Newman movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, where the son shows up with the grandson
yeah,
and they're like kind of, you know, they're all kind of like estranged, but they kind of work together on the childhood home with the dad or whatever.
yeah.
Um, yeah, that's a great movie. I'm just like, if you want to dig up these movies, I was like, I should probably mention last year's movie because we freaking nailed it last year. You know what I mean? I was like, I should just
It
point out
was
that thing exists. But tonight's movie. Well, actually, I mean, well, I almost spoiled some of the bits. That's probably not good. Like,
not there
no.
yet. So I was
So
rushing you last week, and you're just about to try to skip 5 steps.
everything. Hold
Mm.
on. Listen to this little theme song. It's not holiday related. It's just our classic theme. And then Jordan will be back with the savage stats from the chef movie. Oh wait, I was gonna say up at the top. Hold on. Before I even go to the theme song, I'm all over the place. I don't know what to say.
It's that
Um,
Dayquil NyQuil.
yeah,
You're on for
you
the
can.
ride.
Jingle bells, jingle all the
Oh.
way. Here we go. Open a movie every day to celebrate the holiday season. Now offering movie advent boxes this season at our trusty link, lovedaginmedia.com/binge. Get all the holiday movies. You can open a movie every day of holiday season. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
I saw their boxes. I'm getting one. I recommend all of our listeners grab the link, go look at their movie advent boxes. It's kind of a cool idea. Which coincides with pretty soon we're going to be doing our stocking stuffers where we are unwrapping movies to review. So it's like it lines up. Anyway, we'll be right back with we'll be right back with Savage Stats from the Chef movie right after this theme song.
Crack open a cold box of wine or pour something cold on ice because it's the Binge-Watchers podcast.
to be quoted by the New York Times. Why haven't you quoted us before? We have a podcast. You're listening to it. Like, just quote us. It'd be like, podcaster hopped up on cough syrup, dropped holiday movies.
The holiday movie fever dream is what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right. Well, yeah, I got some savage stats for you. Tonight we're watching, we watched it already, but the Chef movie. A head chef quits his restaurant job and buys a food truck in effort to reclaim his creative promise while piecing back together his estranged family. Jon Favreau did his own cooking and training with the food truck Chef Choi. Love Chef Roy Choi. They also met, by the way, on the movie of Iron Man.
Because he was doing the food service on part of the Iron Man movie?
Gwyneth Paltrow, I'm pretty sure, had hired. They do talk about it in the chef show, and that's a stat that I'll talk about in a second here. But I think she hired the food truck that Chef Roy Choi had owned for craft services while they were on the set of Iron Man. So a little bit of history there. I'm pretty sure. It's like 99.9% sure. Jon Favreau did his own cooking. Oh, we already discussed that. Did his own cooking with Chef Roy Choi. But Roy Choi only agreed to train Jon to cook if he promised to be absolutely authentic in the portrayal of a professional chef. So he really had to nail the personality side of his role for being Chef Carl. Eventually, 5 years after this film's release, Favreau and Choi teamed up again to do Netflix's The Chef Show back from 2019, which is a cooking/documentary show on Netflix. It is incredible. If you haven't had the opportunity to see it, it's super good. They take you all over. They go to like Skywalker Ranch and stuff like that, and they cook.
And you get in the kitchen.
You get in the kitchen. Yeah, you get recipes, and you actually get like full into it nitty gritty cooking. So
I saw one where Jon Favreau got obsessed with making sourdough bread, because sourdough bread is like not made with yeast, or it's not made with one ingredient that normal bread has, but it also gathers bacteria from the air or something like that. That's what makes it sour or something crazy.
I think they're called scobies, and you have to like constantly feed your sourdough, and it's, people can get
crazy thought, right? This bread's alive. We need to keep it alive.
Well, and people will get like their mother dough from places that have like 200-year-old starters, and that's like just kind of insane to conceptualize. But
that's like the new thing now with pizza places is like they want specific water from certain pipes in certain cities.
New York is really big
about we're not making that pizza without that Brooklyn water, dude.
Yeah,
I'm like, what horrible things are actually in that city water that you don't want to include in your pizza dough? It's so authentic.
Yeah, but it makes it taste the best, and that's like good, why I think food is like food's my
sourdough tastes amazing, and you're eating bacteria. Well, it's crazy.
It's wild. Yeah, it's like a pet. So. Does this bring us to the bits?
It brings us to the bits, but I don't know where to put this. I have the Cubano recipe. They're making these Cuban sandwiches in the whole movie. Essentially, they make a mojo sauce, which is, it's a sauce made with sour oranges, so it's citrusy. And then, so they marinate a whole pork roast in that. But then they actually also add ham, which this is crazy. You already have a pork roast, then you add a slice of ham, pickles, onions, yellow mustard specifically, and then something called Cuban bread, which I couldn't figure out a good example of Cuban bread. The best figure is it looks similar to like a French bread or an Italian roll.
I feel like it has to be like thin-ish, and just like French bread, you know how like the outside of a French bread's like really smooth in a sense. I don't know.
But it gets pressed. I don't know if it has to be before it gets pressed.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's the Cubano recipe. Some restaurants I worked in, I made Cubanos like all day. I remember one day I was working Cubanos all day.
All day long. I've had some fantastic Cubanos, so it's up there for me.
I've never dated a Cuban myself.
I would love to go to Miami and
go to Cuba.
Yeah, well, just like even get like that Cuban flavor down in Miami, but yeah.
But Cubanos are really good. The sandwich and the people. I'm not going to address the government. I'm talking about the people. I'm not going to talk about the government.
The culture.
I'm not going to talk about the bitterness from the 60s. We're not going to go to the Bay of Pigs. Unless it's a sandwich place, then we'll talk about it. Cubanos, folks.
Go try one.
You got some favorite bits from the chef movie?
So many. I took so many notes this week. The thing is that I came from the like restaurant industry, just like you said, you know, like but that restaurant industry was like a pivotal moment in my identity as a young person. I got to work at like a James Beard award-winning restaurant, just like how Chef Carl starts in.
What a way to like spoil your palate, like at an early age. You know
at
what I mean?
19.
You're like
Well,
fine dining. You're just like, dang.
I grew up in like the most basic vanilla place, like super affluent, but has like no culture or flavor like whatsoever. Colorado's incredibly boring. And so then I moved immediately to Boston, and I was working right off a high street at a wonderful place called Radius Restaurant in like a James Beard award-winning restaurant. Did a stage. They took and did a 7-course tasting for me and in the shadow position. And it was from there, I just was like completely in love. So, of course, I got some notes. I got some bits for you tonight. So, let me see. The soundtrack, first and foremost, fantastic.
I hadn't even considered that. Yeah, they have like these Latin beats.
I have jam out to it. We jammed out to it today at work in my little home office. Like, it's something that I will frequently put on because it's so good.
Well, and they write in the one character who's like the father-in-law is a freaking like Havana, Cuba nightclub like lounge singer or whatever.
Yep. I think the relatability of Chef Carl's crisis, like he didn't quit his job. He got like pretty much fired, right?
No, but like every average American worker is going to have this moment at least once, maybe a few times in their working career where you're going to lose your shit.
Especially with the conflict of like it being your passion to do this type of career, but you're stifled creatively, and he like couldn't fly his wings, if we're talking about the other guys. I'm a peacock.
Let's lay it out real quick. Let's lay it out real quick for the audience. So the chef made a deal with the owner of the restaurant. It's a popular restaurant based on the talents of the chef that he can make the menu. It brings in a critic who likes the chef menu. The chef wants to change it up, and the owner's like, but we got a packed house, so we're going to keep with the same old menu because people are going to buy the food. And the owner's thinking more of a dollar signs, whatever, but the owner is right, but he goes about it kind of the wrong way. He kind of pushes the guy too far. Like, we're going to do the old menu and I'm really in charge and blah, 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 blah. And then he disrespects how often the cook is actually back there. He's like, how often are you even back here as the chef anymore?
Well, in all reality too, like the owner doesn't realize the reason why they have a completely booked, like their reservations.
Yeah, he doesn't understand the chef. It's because the chef wasn't attached to the restaurant. Yeah.
And it's also because of the conflict between the food critic and the chef. Like he was their conflict is what had filled the seats, and people are there to witness an event. And then Chef Carl is kind of pigeonholed into cooking the same thing. And so he gets a do-over, and he essentially, the critic is there in the restaurant. He's getting the same food that he had already criticized so heavily and realizes that Chef Carl's actually not there. Chef Carl storms into the restaurant and has a full-blown crisis. He's yelling, he's taking molten lava cake, trying to explain the reason why it's molten in the middle in the first place. He's crumbling it in front of him. And I think that's the moment that's so relatable, is like being pushed or like mocked or criticized to the point of where you like lose your cool, and you lose your cool publicly. Like I've been that person in the food service in the restaurant industry before. So I thought that the relatability of his crisis is an amazing bit. I think the relatability of facing a nemesis in that moment is a bit. I think the relatability of the downfall is a bit. He has to like go back to his ex-wife and kind of surrender to her idea to get pushed.
But they sprinkled the stories to suggest that she's still rooting for him anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? I mean, he's the father of their kid.
And she's on his side. Yeah.
So he has to go to Miami. It's like he takes a loan from the ex-husband, gets the food truck, and then he's going to train his son on the truck. And then the sous chef, John Leguizamo, quits the restaurant he's at and goes with him too. And then that ties into one of my favorite bits. Like having the construction crew help them build the truck, and first putting the truck together when the guy shows up and they're having beers.
So cute.
It's vases,
Yeah. I thought that something that was relatable too is hot ass Scarlett Johansson hooking up with the chef. Like, I just think that the restaurant industry, if you're out there, you know what I'm talking about. It's just this like hot ass host hooking up with this like back of the house guy who just like lives and breathes and dies for his.
That just shows you how good his food is.
Yeah, and fantastic food. I thought the Chef Carl buying the chef's knife for Percy, his son. That's, they're going to pick out the equipment for the food truck, and he buys a knife for his son, and he talks about how you have to care for it, you have to sharpen it, and he says the chef's knife belongs to the chef, not the kitchen. And it's just this like so sweet coming of age moment, a little rite of passage for his son. But there's so many. I could keep going forever and ever. I think I should pass it off to you and you tell me what some of your favorite.
Well, I mean, I like putting the truck together. The stop in New Orleans and Austin to meet the barbecue guy, who's the real barbecue guy in Austin.
Yeah.
Those are highlights. I mean, I love all the. I love losing his shit as well. Again, seems very rooted in a plausible situation.
Reality.
Yeah. And hooking up, I mean, that's, if you're in the kitchen industry, your relationships are all, because you live in this world. It's like high pressure, high intensity, super fast. You're
and
trauma
you're kind of like
in your own universe. Yeah, true, exactly. Trauma bonded. Yeah. And I mean, I like the chef to get a little action.
For sure.
I'm gonna say. Ratings. We always say binge now, binge later, binge never, which means watch it now, get around to it, on your holiday list or whatever, or just never watch it. You can't get the hours of time back. Where you land on this one?
It's a binge now for me. I've seen this movie before. It's a movie I'm incredibly passionate about. I love this movie. Like, I would say it could be top 5 for me of all time. I don't know why. I just think it's my brand.
She texted me, "Oh, this is my favorite movie that we watched." I'm like, I'm going to hit her back with, this is the 4th time you have said this is the best movie we've reviewed so far.
You're going to start striking out some of my notes and be like, you can't say.
I'm going to go back and look through like
I'm here for it. Your
the
favorite.
Transcripts. I'm going to go to the transcripts and like start charting like a Excel spreadsheet, like how many times he says her catchphrase.
It's going to be a bit where, we're going to start tallying, Yeah.
Because then they're kind of diluted. It's like, could they really be all that great?
No, but this is up there for me. What about you? What'd you rate it?
Yeah, I've binge now as well. I feel like if you're homesick, you're hungry, or you like to watch food as art, you'll probably enjoy watching Chef.
Chef kiss.
What else is going on? Oh, we got to preview this movie dropping on Screambox called Onyx of Fortuitous. And its full name is something else. The Talisman of Soul. Onyx of Fortuitous and the Talisman of Souls. Here's a little thingamabobber.
Love that.
I wrote it down. I got something about this movie. Where did I do with it? Anyway, I can't find it, but do you know, like, one of the persons is one of the characters from School Rock plays the friend in this movie. Anyway, this is a weird movie. There's like an official cult book club or whatever. Like, they're like this guy's satanic book club, and they're all going to go meet him. They won a prize. It's like the Willy Wonka of sorcerers or something.
Yeah.
And so Onyx is like this weird guy. I wrote down something funny. He says, "I'm proud of what we accomplish at the meat hut every day." I was like, all right. It's got a lot of Beetlejuice references. The ending is basically Beetlejuice. The floating people, the dancing.
I loved that. Yeah.
They were doing the Chucky chant. Did you notice that in one part? Like, the magic chant they're using is actually the Chucky chant. Like,
really?
Dembala or whatever it is. Yeah. Anyway, folks, if you're like a horror movie fan, if you like weird stuff, this is like, fits into like midnight movies, something you'd crawl upon. Like, how do I describe it? It's definitely like a movie for your friends. Crack open some beers, hang out with the guys, whatever, and watch this movie. It's just fun.
I loved it. It's all my favorite things: occult, lycanthrope, witches, ghouls, dorky men. Like, it's all of my favorite things. And
each sacrifices like a special monster or something.
Yeah, they use a term I have never heard before, which maybe I am just naive and not very trendy. But he said chamber, which is the combination of shame and chamber. It's a shame chamber.
Yeah,
he called it a chamber, and I thought that
he has a weird affection to how he talks. I guess like Onyx is like an internet character that he created.
Yeah,
And
there's a viral video of his bit, and I didn't really know that until my boyfriend made me watch it again. But you're right. There's this.
Oh, here's where I wrote it down. Do you remember the bass player from School of Rock? Her name is Reyes, and she plays like the love interest who turns into like the furry. I don't know. She's the one who becomes the witch by the end, who's like floating.
Yeah, she's cute.
Yeah, she was in School of Rock. There you go. And awesome. Jeffrey Combs, who's like a horror royalty, he goes back to like horror movies in the 80s and 90s. You know the guy, not the guy, the woman playing Onyx's mom in the movie, Barbara Crampton. She's also in a bunch of horror movies.
Okay, so super cool.
She was like briefly, she's only in Onyx for like 2 seconds. I mean, there's a kitchen scene where she's making dinner, and then at the end where he's like, look, I actually did well. Come see my new school of magic or whatever. You know what I mean?
I have to also add too, there's an incredibly sweet moment in the movie, right? Because it is rather dorky and it's like got all this stuff jumbled in it, but I think it was incredibly sweet and one of a fantastic watch. But he talks about what was the girl's name in the movie that he's like kind of got the fling with? Do you remember? Z. He refers to her as Z, and he passes out and Z's like tucking him in, and she's feeling really lonely, and he talks about how you're never really alone, and if you look at the night sky, you realize that you and your friends are all under the same moon, and it was just such a touching little moment. I thought it was so sweet. So yeah, it was a good watch. It was a fantastic watch. So
you know what? We've arrived at the part where we tell people about what's going on now. We got a couple more of these feel-good movies for you. We're actually going to do a movie that's been on my list for a long time to get a podcast out of, Vision Quest, which is about an 80s, I think it's based on a book, and basically it's a high school wrestler who wants to drop weight so he can compete with like the best wrestler in the state. Like, so he's not exactly champion, but he ranks well on the high school team. But he doesn't ever really have any moments, and he's like, I want to be known for something. I got to have my moment.
Moment,
yeah. So he's gonna, drop weight, and then he meets a girl, another waitress, right? She gets kicked out of the bar. She's working out or whatever, and she's kind of down on her luck. So he's like, come stay with me and my dad for whatever reason. Like, so then he starts to have a relationship with her, and like, he's obviously slightly more advanced than he is. And then they also go. This is like the first movie Madonna's in, where she's playing at a nightclub they go to or whatever. Anyway, it's a good movie. Speaking of movie stuff, I've been doing this Real Rewards thing, which Lala made. They have like a Discord community. They were recently talking about Martin Scorsese movies, like what's the best Martin Scorsese movie? People are dropping Goodfellas. People are dropping The Departed. I dropped Wolf of Wall Street, which they've been advertising as part of their collectibles. Like they're about to do Drop 2, which is Naomi Enters the Chat, which is the Duchess. It's basically, if you remember, in the Wolf of Wall Street, there's Naomi, which is like the wife. Well, Lala's going to have artists like tell the story of her character from the movie. And you can earn a bunch of points if you do that. But here's why I like this community. This is how I'm going about Real Rewards. So if I'm sitting here at like 2:00 in the morning and I'm watching some stupid romantic comedy with Meg Ryan and Hugh Jackman, and I go, the time travel in this movie is insane. Nobody has ever talked about the time travel in this movie. What a good idea. There's no place for me to put a conversation like that anywhere. My Facebook friends will be like, what are you talking about? It's not a Twitter thing.
Right.
It's not an Instagram thing because you can't really do. Well, they have threads now, but you can't really do text on Instagram. They'll be like, why is he just posting a picture of Kate and Leopold? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But dropping into someplace like the Real Rewards community with all everybody else on the Lala movie fan group, like they're gonna get it. You know what I mean? And also to have that like anxious movie energy. I call them movie thoughts. If you're movie minded, there's no way. I know the rabid movie fans are out there, but I don't have adjectives to describe what I'm talking about. But I'm just pretty happy that I can do something like that. I was like, hey, what do you think about the next Nosferatu? And I'm like, oh, who's playing it? I was like, oh, dude, Skarsgård's playing it. Boom, they're doing a remake. And then they're like, oh, who's your favorite Dracula? And then I dropped a werewolf picture from Bram Stoker's Dracula because he woofs out in that movie. And I'm like, let me see if the real Dracula fans, like these hardcore movie fans, are gonna acknowledge. You know what I'm saying? Like. Yeah. Let's get real deep in the discussions here, like inside jokes. Like, let's see how far they can take it. Anyway, I recommend hopping over there. Try out Real Rewards. It's free, guys, and then you get rewarded for watching movies. What else is going on? Fans. There's no fan service this week. I'm not pulling up YouTube comments. I think my cold's starting to kick in. I've been like stifling coughs for half an hour.
Yeah.
Which when I was trying to describe mojo sauce, I couldn't get it out.
Yeah.
That's what it hurt. I was trying to get the trying to describe mojo sauce. Man.
Oh, man. You made it though.
This gal, ladies and gentlemen, is already decorating trees with ornaments. I may have seen the pictures. I got the evidence, but she's also very proud of it. She's like, I got my tree up.
Represent. Okay, there's two types of people in this world. There's people who decorate for Christmas before Thanksgiving, and then there's people who decorate after Thanksgiving. I'm somebody who gets incredibly mad on Black Friday when I'm like, where the F are everybody's Christmas lights? Like, does nobody celebrate the holidays anymore? And it's just because I'm way too eager. I just think it needs to be a season. Spread the happiness. My tree is up. I have company in town. That's why I'm potting from my bedroom tonight. I have my full desk for work in here. But yeah, 'tis the season.
So I guess get your tree up, or you got no respect.
Yeah,
from
I'll
Jordan
fight you.
anyway.
Yeah.
What's the real? I mean, so how do you differentiate those people? Like
There's
the
before and after.
classy ones and the after ones are not classy?
There's people who are right and there's people who are wrong. I put my Christmas tree up.
Damn. Breaks down to it's her way or no way.
My way
Christmas
or the highway, baby. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it.